Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to the deep dive with Toya Creates. We are finally going to get into the last week of Beyond the Gates. We had a preemption. So, the last time we saw Beyond the Gates was the week of June 22nd. So, let us get into it before the new episodes start tomorrow. But first, if you like content like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you to everyone who's already doing so, and thanks for the influx of subscribers and views that I have seen over the past few weeks. I am very pleased. So let us get into Monday, June 22nd. So, everyone at the hospital is remaining on edge because they are anxiously awaiting the news on the dual transplant surgeries that both Kat and Eva had. As a reminder, Eva was critically injured in the tornado that ripped through the country club due to a pipe falling on her in a stairwell that she and Kat were trapped in. And so, after a lot of hemming and hawing and basically abuse from Kat's family, Kat decided to actually donate a portion of her liver to her sister that she hates because Kat ended up being the only match and the only salvation for Eva. So, we are just waiting to hear the results of said surgeries at this point. Leslie is in Eva's room just waiting for news, and she's nervously creating some crepe. What do you call it? Chain link banner. She wants to decorate Eva's room for when she is hopefully out of surgery. Shanice comes in there, and Leslie's like, "Oh, are you going to tell on me?" Because she and Shanice have had several run ins. And the last time Leslie was in there due to Peaches and her situation, she frequently butted heads with Shanice because she didn't want to follow hospital protocol. So Shanice is being nice and she's just like, I'm not going to say anything. And this makes Leslie think that Shanice is being nice to me because something went wrong in the operating room. And Shanice is like, look, girl, no. I'm not saying that. I don't know what's going on right now. And for the foreseeable future, well, until this ordeal is over, I'm going to be cordial to you because one, it's my job. Two, I am Team Eva as well. I don't want her to be hurt or anything like that. And so, Shanice basically says the feud will resume once Eva recovers. Even though Leslie still insists that she has turned over a new leaf, we will believe it when we see it. So, over at the precinct, Darlene is chatting up Jacob. She's very anxious about Isaiah because he is in love with Eva and he is just really nervous about everything that's going on. So, Darlene is not Eva's biggest fan due to her mother, but she does love her son very much and she wants, Eva to pull through. So she's also, Darlene, that is, very excited and happy that Elon and Isaiah seem to have a breakthrough because of this situation. And she is just hoping for permanent family resolution, even though Jacob is just like, don't don't count your chickens before they hatch, basically. Next, we see Joey and Vanessa. Joey really wants to support Isaiah because they have a really close relationship. Um, Joey basically saved Isaiah from the streets, that trope. Um, and so he kind of considers Isaiah to be like his son. So he knows Isaiah has been really going through it with Eva's injuries, and Joey just wants to be there and he wants to help, but he knows he really can't because he just doesn't want people to know how close he and Isaiah are because of Joey's reputation and his line of work. And Vanessa understands that, but she doesn't want Joey to continue to treat himself like he is poison. She sees something in Joey that other people just don't see. She's also very much demonized because it's Vanessa and she is the community P of the Fairmont Crest, in my opinion. So her nose is wide open for Joey, and she just wants him not to look at himself in that way. She also talks about how she wishes she had a simple classic sitcom life, like the old black and white shows of the day. Let's think, Leave It to Beaver, I Love Lucy. Vanessa wants to be that kind of a housewife and this and that. And Joey was like, girl, you would be bored instantly, because we know Vanessa has a penchant for this criminal life, this street life. She loves it, and she wants to be the doll to Joey's mobster so freaking bad. So then they laugh about that, and she's like, you're not all the way wrong. So then she heads out because she is going to Garland Memorial to support the Dupree family. They are all there rallying, mostly for Kat and some of them for Eva. So, say what you want to say about Vanessa, but she's a good friend, and she is loyal and reliable in that regard most times. So then we go over to Orphe Jeans, where we see Martin along with Anita and Vernon, because it is primary day. And although Martin wants to be at the hospital, he has to do this. And he is going to go straight to the hospital after he is done. So, he's terrified about losing his seat. All of the things have transpired after this tornado. As a result, he delivers a really good speech that Anita and Vernon helped him with as well. And he tells the community that he is going to provide all of the fundraising efforts that came in at his doomed campaign event. He's going to donate all of that to tornado relief, and that is received very well. Spoiler alert, as a result of that, and just I guess just who Martin is in general, like, he's a really good politician and he really does care about his community. So that speech led to him winning his seat. So he is good there, and great for Martin, right? Over at the hospital, Isaiah and Tomas cross paths. No, they are basically, what do you call them? Eskimo brothers. They have both had a taste of Eva, and so that's why they have a little contention there. So Tomas just suggests that they pause their personal issues, even though they really don't have, they haven't come to fisticuffs or anything like that, but it's just awkward. But he's like, you know what? Let's not do that, as both women that we love are currently under the knife. As we know, Isaiah is with Eva and Tomas is with Kat. So they agree to that. We also see Shanice comforting Ted, who is very stressed about all of this, which is natural. And she just promises to have his back no matter what. So then we see Vernon, Anita, and Martin arrive to support the family. And at this point, they don't know that he's won the election. I gave you a little spoiler alert, like I said. We also see Anita checking in on a very defensive Leslie. What else is new? Because this woman is so damaged. Like, she really needs therapy. She always thinks someone is coming to attack her. She doesn't believe anyone can basically be genuine with their actions because she's projecting. Anita, being the true matriarch that she is, she tells Leslie if she will behave, she is more than welcome to come and join the rest of the family as they await the news. And now that's really big of Anita, because we know she hates Leslie. And Leslie, to my surprise, she takes it very well. And after a little while, she does come downstairs to join the rest of the family. And It's actually very nice. It's very mature. This is the way we're supposed to be acting as a collective. So kudos to Mom Anita, because I wouldn't have invited this heifer down there, but I'm not a grown up like Anita. So then we also see Vanessa arrive. She is checking on her bestie Danny right now, and Nicole is also her bestie, but they haven't come across each other yet. So, Vanessa's there and just chatting up Danny, and she gets emotional over the high stakes of everything because she really hates the way she and Deanna's relationship is right now. Deanna is still once again pissed at her mother. She found out Vanessa was safe from the tornado and she was relieved and everything was fine until she heard her mama's boyfriend in the background. So then she got mad yet again and she's no longer talking to Vanessa. So Vanessa, after talking to Danny for a little bit, leaves an emotional voicemail for Deanna, just reiterating that she loves her and she doesn't want things to be like this. Now, that's going to be important later in the week, but let's keep it moving. We also see Vernon comforting a very frightened Chelsea because she's terrified of losing her cousin bestie cat. Okay, so then we also see Martin telling Ted that he would trade his entire political career just to ensure that both of his sisters survive. So everyone is just going through it. They are just awaiting the news. So then we see Vanessa pulling Danny to the side, asking if her secret little tryst with Bill is still very much a secret. And she wants to know how Danny is handling all of that. So they were in this little corner in the waiting area. So as soon as they step out of it, why is Andre there? Like, what did you hear? And Andre was like, not much. I just overheard something about someone cheating. And Vanessa Slick Vanessa. She was able to flip that really quickly and cover by making up a story about, oh, we were talking about this little old cute lady at the casino and how she hustled Joey by counting cards. So Andre accepts this because, what does he know? And Danny and Vanessa are like, woo, dodge that bullet. Speaking of Joey, next we see the casino and Elon is there to chat about Jacob's overzealousness as it pertains to this investigation because in Jacob's mind, he has decided that Joey is somehow involved in this impaler thing. Now we know that it's actually Joey's sister, Heather, but no one else knows this. Okay. Now, Elon and Joey have a past because they have worked together in cleaning up some of this Dupree secrecy and situations like Martin killing this racist on the road and how he was being blackmailed, all of that. So Joey and Elon are connected in many ways. And so Elon knows that he has to tread a little lightly. His little Dudley Do Right son Jacob does not understand that because he doesn't know Elon's dealings with Joey and he's a little Boy Scout and it's annoying, but whatever. So Elon's just promising Joey that, it won't happen again with Jacob being overzealous because Joey was like, look, I understand he's going through stuff, but my patience it has a limit, okay? Because he was like, next time I'll recruit Jacob to come work with me if he don't back off. And Elon does not want that. And so they are able to smooth that out. Now things get a little weird when Joey asks Elon how Isaiah is doing. And he offers any assistance, no strings attached. Elon was like, why are you asking about my son? Because Elon doesn't know that Joey was basically daddy to him when Isaiah was running the streets. And the reason why Isaiah got out of that life was because of Joey. And Joey is actually the one who taught Isaiah how to cook. That's how he made that that expensive bougie macaroni and cheese for Leslie and Eva and Ted that night. But okay. So Eli was like, but they didn't really go into depth there. I'm sure that's going to be an Easter egg for later when they reveal Joey's dealings with Isaiah. But this is just, because I'm like a Joey apologist, okay? I love a good street dude. All right? I love a mobster. I love it. And he is not the monster that everybody wants to pay him out to be. Like these scenes with Joey show you his heart. Like he really does love Isaiah and he wants the best for him. He's very much like, if I'm with you, I'm with you. If I'm against you, I'm against you. And I can understand that. So whatever. That is basically what happened with Elon and Joey. So then over at the hospital, we get word that Eva is awake. And everyone is like, oh, thank God. The doctor comes out and says the surgeries were successes and Eva and Kat are just in recovery. Eva is awake, but Kat is not. But everyone reacts to anesthesia differently. And so no one's concerned at this point. And so, the word is getting out about Eva. Jacob is still talking to Darlene at the precinct when Naomi texts him and lets them know that Eva's awake. And they're like, oh, thank God. Great. So Ted is in the room with Eva as well. I think a little bit before this, um, Nicole was late to the party finding out about everything. And so she's there now. And so she said, like, you, Ted, so there's no pressure. You go be with Eva and I will wait with Kat. Because Ted is split between his two daughters and he wants to be there for both. So Nicole just basically tells him, we're going to do it this way so it's going to cause the least amount of issues. So Ted is in there with Leslie and Isaiah and Eva, and he's just telling Eva what happened, letting her know that she received a liver donation from Kat, which was shocking for her. She like, Kat, who? And Ted's like, yes, that Kat. Isaiah's there with another bracelet, whatever. Cute, fine. So then Ted returns to the recovery wing and he's telling uh everyone that Kat's just getting her beauty sleep and Eva's awake, blah, blah, blah. So then Danny and Nicole and I think Ted are looking in on Kat. Danny's telling, oh, Andre's there too. She's telling Andre, like, I don't know if I could give a piece of my body to someone I hate. And Andre's just like, it's just because you guys love with your whole heart and I love you too, Danny, blah, blah, blah. He's just laying it on thick, and we can see the regret on Danny's face about what she did in that elevator with Bill, because they in the elevator during the tornado, and nobody knows it but Vanessa outside of Danny and Bill. So all of that's going on, and suddenly when Ted and Nicole are looking over Kat, her heart rate monitor starts spiking and we don't know what is going on. So then the rest of the Dupree family is out in the recovery area. They are talking about how Martin secured his seat and they're congratulating him on that. He's like, let's keep it quiet because we are still in a hospital. So they don't have time to really celebrate that because they see a nurse run by and Naomi and them are like, what do you think's going on? Do you think that's for Kat? Yes, it is for Kat. So the nurse is sprinting down there, and the family is hit with terrifying news as this doctor, because we're going to get into this doctor, rushes into the room and says, everybody got to get out. We have an emergency. So we don't know what's going on with Kat. And that is how the Monday episode ends. Tuesday, June 23rd, we open with Ted and Nicole asking the questions that need to be asked because Dr. Miles is their colleague and he's been the one overseeing Kat and Eva's surgeries and treatment. But this man, I would need another doctor. I thought Ted was gonna put hands on this man, and I understand it. I mean, first it was like, oh, we have a liver for Eva. Oops, no, we don't. It's been given away. Oh, everything went well with the surgery. All the ladies are doing fine. Tomas was in there the other day too, asking like, why isn't Cat awake? Yes, questions that need answers. Whatever. Everyone's fine, said Dr. Miles. Now Cat is on the verge of going to the upper room. And Ted is like, what the hell is going on? I agree. Okay, he had to calm himself down. And Dr. Miles was just, saying these things happen sometimes. Cat can't breathe on her own yet, but she's not bleeding internally. And if she doesn't improve soon, they're going to run more tests. So Ted collects himself. Nicole does as well, and they just accept this because, like I said, Dr. Miles is the worst doctor up in here. I would have been like, I need somebody else immediately. We also see that Eva is awake, responsive. She is grateful to be alive, and Leslie and everyone visits. Isaiah's gone off to rest, and Eva wants to see Kat to thank her for saving her life. So she has no idea what's going on at this moment. So then this also kicks off what I called a Christmas Carol slash Freaky Friday slash It's a Wonderful Life, even though I've never watched that movie, but I know what it's about because Kat went on this whole coma fever dream that mirrors those types of stories, okay? And so the first crazy fantasy that Kat had, she was in her house and she saw Ted and Nicole and they were arguing, okay? So Kat's in the background and she is like, what is going on? My parents are together. But she quickly realizes that they cannot hear or see her. So in this fantasy, Ted is breaking things off with Nicole because he has found someone new. And oh, by the way, this woman is pregnant, okay? This fantasy was insane. Ted was being so mean to Nicole. He was like, aren't you tired of being unhappy? And I'm finally happy. And I am finally getting the second child that I have always wanted. Meanwhile, Nicole is just there taking it, but she is popping off. It is very intense. They are full on arguing. And Nicole is basically like, you're not going to do this to us. And then she storms off into her own room after telling Ted to get out. Kat is banging on the door like, oh my God, what is going on? Mom, please. And Ted leaves. And like I said, that was the first fantasy. So then we are back in present day. We are in the waiting area. The Duprees are all there. They are holding it together as best as they can. They are, trying to tell Tomas, don't worry as well. Danny's checking in on Nicole, and she just admits to her that she's struggling to stay positive. Nicole is struggling to stay positive. And Danny's like, that's understandable in this situation. And she encourages Nicole just to feel her authentic feelings. And Nicole thanks her for that. And that's what she needed to hear. So then Kat is plunged into another fantasy. And this time she is at Danny's house. And we know this is an altered reality because in this world, Danny and Bill are still together. I'm like, ooh, or is this really kind of imitating what's actually going on? But we don't know. Kat doesn't know what Bill and Danny did in that elevator. So she's like, look, I know I'm in a dream if these two are together. So we see Danny and Kat. I'm sorry. We see Danny and Bill just talking about the crazy situation with Ted waving his new side piece around town. And Kat is like, who? What side piece? I know it's not who I think it is. So, just Bill and Danny are talking about how terrible it is and how stupid Ted is being and how, oh my God, this woman is pregnant. Just the whole thing. So then, Kat is just very confused and she's ready to be done with this fantasy thing as well. So back in the real world, we see Tomas telling Anita and Vernon that he is going stir crazy and he's offering to do anything. Do you need coffee? Do you need this? And Anita just tells him to focus on the adventures that he and Kat will undoubtedly have once she wakes up. And Tomas is just talking about how there was a dream apparently capturing, which I don't believe, of her hiking through the rainforest when they visit Puerto Rico. If you like it, I love it, Cat. I mean, I would like that as well, but I couldn't deal with the bugs. And I don't see Cat doing this, but whatever. So he mentions that, and then, the rest of them try to rally and think about all of the good things that they are also going to do with Cat once she wakes up. And then Naomi and Chelsea are kind of pressing Shanice for answers, but they don't know anything because Shanice is very good at her job. She is very serious about no HIPAA violations. She runs her mouth about everything else, but she does not run her mouth about those patients. So everyone just has to wait. Back to Kat's fever dreams. So this time, Kat is at Garland. She is at the nurse's desk. We see Shanice, and then we see a very pregnant Leslie enter from the elevator, and she and Shanice are just chummy, chummy, chummy. Shanice is like, oh my God, you're here for your appointment. And Leslie's just talking about this baby and how excited she is. And Kat is like, I know this is not happening, but it is confirmed when Ted emerges and he confirms that he is in love with Leslie. And Shanice is just gushing about how cute they are and how excited they are about this baby. It is crazy. Now, Kat, even in this dream, she is like, number one, I'm living in my own personal hell, but she reconciles that by thinking, oh, maybe this is my chance to eliminate my enemy before she's even born. So she has understood that Leslie is pregnant with Eva. And in this reality, Ted is happy with Leslie. So basically, this is where I put it together. Oh, Kat is getting a taste of Eva's life and a little bit of Leslie's as well. Just basically, she is getting to see their point of view of things. Now, Kat is still hateful in this alternate reality, like I said, because she was like, oh, I could eliminate Eva before she's even born. I'm like, what in the Game of Thrones is going on here? But whatever. That's what is happening then. She then finds herself at Anita and Vernon's house where we see them talking to a very distressed Nicole. She reveals that she is also pregnant and she is miserable about it. She vents to Anita about how this kid is going to be a constant reminder of the years that she and Ted wasted. And she says how Ted does not even know about this pregnancy. Now, Anita and Verna are trying to talk Nicole down, but Nicole is like, no, this is like a curse. And she is referring to being pregnant with Kat. Now, Kat is in the background hearing all of this, but they cannot see or hear Kat. And Kat is just crying. She's like, no, my daddy would never turn his back on me and Nicole. And that's basically how that fantasy ends. So then we go back to the present day and we see Ted. Sorry, the coffee's coming back to bite. We are back in the present day and we see Ted begging Kat to fight and that he needs both of his daughters to come home. So then Martin returns to the hospital at this point. He is looking very worried and he is basically thinking back to how poorly he treated Kat during this whole donor testing situation. He was really an ass to Kat, honestly. And she would have full right not to forgive him once she wakes up. But Martin's there. He's worried for his sister. And also Nicole tells Ted to give an update to Leslie in person because Leslie and Eva are over there and they want to actually thank Kat for everything that she did, and they have no idea uh, about Kat's current state. Back in fantasy world, Kat is at the country club this time, and we see Nicole who is sitting by herself. It is very clear that Nicole is now Leslie in this situation. Stay with me now. So we see Nicole looking on a happily married Ted and Leslie. They come over and they are telling Nicole how they are planning a family trip, but guess who is not going to be excited? Kat, because she's a problem. They said that Kat basically has an issue with Eva and they have an issue with Kat. She is basically unruly and she's problematic and they don't want her around. So Nicole is seething at this. She's basically like, I know you and your little wife want to get rid of me and Kat, but that's never going to happen. Ted basically advises Nicole to move on just like he did and try to find some happiness. So that is, whew, the tables have definitely turned. Now, back in present day, Ted is visiting Eva's room and he's updating Leslie and Eva on Kat's unresponsiveness due to some post operative issues. And they are really upset behind this. I know people are going to be like, oh, Eva and Leslie don't care, but they really do. Like, Leslie even tries to bring a little levity to the situation because she could see how devastated Ted is. She's just like, you know what? I'm sure Kitty Cat is going to wake up soon and she is going to hold this over our head. She is just doing this so she can hold this over Eva's head. And, Eva is like upset as well. So everyone's just holding out hope that Cat is going to wake up. So then Ted also goes to the waiting room and he updates the Duprees on what's going on. Shanice is there to support Ted as well. She's telling him, she's gonna be there for him and she wishes she could do more. And Ted is just like, you being here is enough. Martin really starts to spiral now because he is worried that Kat will never forgive him for how he treated her before this surgery and it would serve him right. But Vernon is there to talk him down. And Tomas is also there just to remind him that they were on good terms. So don't worry yourself, Martin. Now we are back in Kat's hellscape. Next, inside this fantasy world, we see Anita, Naomi, and Danny, I believe, at Danny's house. And they are all gabbing about how much Nicole is a piss poor parent. Kat has had enough at this point. I mean, Anita and them are going in on Nicole about how she's basically a disgrace and how this girl Kat just had no chance. They were talking about how Eva did such a great job in her debutante. Like, she is platinum deb. Everything is reversed, and Kat is like, enough! She is begging to escape this hellscape right now. Back in reality, Leslie is reassuring Eva that God won't take Kat after she performs such a miracle because Eva is like really terrified at this point. She's just like, "Oh my God, I need Kat to be okay. She did this for me. I need to thank her. I pray to God nothing is happening to her." So that is this is a 180. Okay. So then let me see what else. We see Nicole and Ted. They're continuing to talk to Kat, who's still unconscious. Like just telling her she did such a great thing. She was so brave. Please come back to us. And they are just very proud of what she did. Now, back into this final fantasy. This one was a doozy. So Kat finds herself at Uptown, and it looks like they are celebrating. I think they're celebrating Martin at this point. So we see Martin, we see Chelsea, we see Tomas there. And we see that they are celebrating and they're waiting for someone to come. Kat's on the outside. Well, she's like right outside the table that they are at. She's like, I'm here. Girl, they can't see you. She's thinking they are looking for her. She is horrified when Eva walks in and they're like, hey, Eva, we were waiting for you. And Eva goes and kisses Tomas in this fantasy because in this world, Tomas and Eva are together. Now, to add insult to injury, Nicole is in this fantasy as well. She is at another table. She is a drunken mess, and Martin and Chelsea drag her for oh, they are like, ugh, how embarrassing is my mom over there? Thank God I have Leslie as a stepmother. I was like, who are y'all talking about? What? Because Nicole is over there being a drunken mess all over some man, and Martin is embarrassed, and Chelsea's talking trash too, like, ugh. Cat never had a chance, blah, blah, blah. And Eva goes in too, okay? Eva goes in real hard. She was like, Cat is a basic bitch. And this family would have been better off if she were not born. I was like, oh my God, Sunday. So then at that point, Eva turns and looks at Cat and she says, it hurts, doesn't it? She was like, sound familiar? It hurts, doesn't it? So Kat is finally seen in this point and she can't take it. She runs out. And then the next scene we see, we're still in fantasy world. Kat ends up at the country club. She is running past Ted, who's on a couch. She's reading a paper and he can now see her. And he starts talking to her about basically what she learned and this and that. And Kat finally admits that she understands a little more how Eva and Leslie felt in the situation after walking a day in Eva's boots. And, she is happy that she saved Eva's life, even though she doesn't think that they'll ever be like close or true sisters. But she didn't want her to die, and she's happy that she at least saved her life. And then at that point, clearly the lesson had been learned, and Kat finally opens her eyes, and she's back in the real world, and she sees Ted and Nicole, and Ted just smiles. He's so happy, and he's like, "Welcome back." So that is how we ended that episode. Now, some thoughts. I mean, I think Kat did need to go through this journey, but I don't I do agree with it, but I kind of don't. And I hate Kat's character, but I'm gonna be fair. The way they treated Kat during this whole donor situation was absolutely horrible. And I felt like if they were going to take Kat down this journey, they should have not been so despicable towards her outside of Nicole, because she was the only one, honestly, who gave her the grace and the space to make her own decision. Anita did too. Well, let me go back. Anita did too, but yeah. I think Kat did need to understand Eva's point of view a little more, but I don't like the timing of it because it kind of diminished it a little bit with the way that they treated her so poorly right before this surgery. But let's get into the next day. So let us get into Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Now, I actually skipped Thursday for my drama while I design. I was busy. I don't remember. But let's start with Wednesday, June 24th. So, Kat has come out of her Christmas Carol like fantasy world, and we see Ted sharing his pride in Kat with Shanice just as Kat's medical alarms go off again. So they run in there and they see that Kat is trying to pull herself out of the bed because she wants to go and see Eva. Now, let's just get into it. Whatever. You know what? Let me not get ahead of myself. So then we also see Madison, who is assessing Eva, who is over there being very guilty over Kat's post surgery medical complications because she never wanted this to happen. We also see Anita telling Vernon that she is pushing her oncologist appointment back a few days just to have a cancer free moment. And Vernon was like, no, you ain't. This is the first time we saw Vernon really put his foot down because Anita was trying to make excuses basically. I understand that she wanted some cancer-free moments because she's just like, with everything going on, can we just not talk about cancer for once? And what about Kat? I've got to be here to take care of her and this and that. And Verner's like, woman, you need to take care of yourself first. You need to stick to this treatment plan. You are not changing it. And Anita finally relents and she's just like, you know what? It's annoying when your husband is always right. And she says, no. So then we also saw Andre checking in on Danny. She has been having trouble sleeping ever since this tornado. And Andre's just like, commenting on that, and Danny shook. She just downplays it and she's just like she's just shaken up by everything else that's going on in the aftermath of the tornado, while Andre just vows to help her however he can. And then they do what they do because I'm sorry to admit it, the basis of this relationship is the physical. Let's just keep it 100. And so they did end up falling in love, but it's not as stable because she never got over Bill. And Andre and her got married in a drunken night in Vegas. And Andre, at the time, he was still pining away for Ashley. So this was doomed from the beginning. But what? Ever. So then Andre's about to go to the gym and Danny's begging him not to leave because she wants to keep this reconnected feeling that they have. And Andre promises that nothing will ever come in between them, but we know that's a lie. So then over at Bill's office, we see him daydreaming about Danny. And he fails to notice Naomi, who's standing right in front of his face. And she is like, what is going on, Dad? And she tells him that instead of focusing on Mom, you need to be focused on Eva and Kat, because Bill didn't know what was going on there. And so she updates him and he's like, oh my God. And he was able to deflect with that for a little bit until Naomi circles right on back around, holding his feet to the fire. She's like, this is not the first time I have caught you daydreaming or being basically inappropriate about Mom. She brings up, like, you already called her baby before. And Bill's like, yeah, whatever. He just deflects and tries to play that off, but Naomi is on to him. So then they are also just working on the upcoming case against Madison. And, they have to deal with Mike, who is Bill's former partner, who Bill had to fire due to the sexual harassment that Mike was committing in the office, which led to the firm being sued by some employees. And so Naomi and Bill are working on this case. Bill talks about how he has to go out to play golf. And she's like, really? During this? And he explains how he is basically meeting up with the judge for this case. So he's trying to schmooze a little bit on the golf course like businessmen typically do. And Naomi's like cool with it, but she makes him promise that he's not going to blackmail or bribe anyone because the facts are on their side. Back at the hospital, we see Leslie has returned. She's clearly gone home and gotten some rest. So she's there and she wants to show gratitude to Shanice and the team for all of the help that they gave Eva. Now, this is where we see Leslie is a little rough around the edges, not used to something. Because why does she show up with a wad of cash and she literally wants to tip the staff? And Shanice is like, oh, no, baby, that's not how this works. So she politely declines the tip. And Leslie was like, okay, well, fine. Everybody else will get cash, but you. And then Ted is there as well. So he sees what's going on. And he just suggests that Leslie donates to a hospital philanthropic cause instead. And so Leslie agrees to do that because that is more appropriate, girl. Like, what this is, we cannot be greasing palms in the hospital. But it's okay, Leslie. You don't know better, and I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. You are being nice, and you wanna express your gratitude. Now she is ready to head to Eva's room, but Ted stops her because he explains that Eva and Kat are talking. So remember earlier in this episode, um, Kat expressed wanting to go into Eva's room. Ted and Shanice thought she was having another medical emergency, but it was because Kat was unplugging herself so she could hobble on in to Eva's room. Ted goes into Eva's room before Leslie comes and he's just checking up on her and he says, oh, you have a visitor. Are you up for it? And Eva thinks it's, Leslie or Isaiah. But then Ted wheels Kat in and they have an opportunity to talk. And my hopes were so high. So, Kat and Eva are talking. It is like the best conversation they have had to date on this soap. Um, Kat admits to Eva that her last words weren't her best because when Eva was basically on the verge of coughing up blood, Kat was like, stop being lazy, stop being a victim, blah, 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 da, 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 until that blood started pouring out of her mouth. And she was like, okay, 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 I believe you. So Kat is apologizing for that. And they are able to make some headway here. They are calm. They discuss their past trauma with each other. Eva takes full ownership of her past lies and admits to a little bit of victim playing in the past because, Kat was so nasty to her after everything went down and Kat just like never eased up that Eva started to play the game too, basically. So Eva also tells her that she could literally never repay Kat's miraculous gift to her. And Kat actually breaks down and she was like crying and she asked Eva if she had any weird dreams while she was under the anesthesia or in the coma. And Eva was like, no, but you did. And then Kat starts breaking down everything that she went through in this nightmare. And so Eva was like, oh, so you understand my side a little bit more now. And Kat agreed. And she also reveals that she only donated um because she couldn't stand the thought of Ted looking at her knowing that she let Eva died, if that had been the scenario. So that was the basis of why Kat did this. And she also, you know, I thought the sisters were gonna have a breakthrough. They're holding hands, they're crying to each other, but Kat hits Eva with, we're never gonna be sisters, but I don't regret what I did, and I'm glad you're alive, basically. And I'm like, why did we have to end on that note? But that's basically where it was left. Now, over at Orphe Jeans, Tomas has asked Chelsea to meet him because he wants advice for proposing to Kat. Chelsea thinks this is not the right time, and she does not think this is a good idea. And I agree with Chelsea because who would have thought that dingbat would have been the voice of reason? If she doesn't know anything else, she knows her sister cousin Kat, and she knows Kat's gonna feel pressured by this. She's not even, she just woke up. She's not even out of the hospital. She's gonna feel pressured by this. She doesn't think it's a good idea. And she thinks that Tomas is just proposing because he is a nervous wreck and he's having like PTSD about almost losing Kat. And that is not the reason to propose. I agree with Chelsea. Tomas is, he insists that he's proposing because he loves Kat and he is going to do this the second she gets home. Now, Chelsea is debating this, and Tomas is like, what, are you afraid that we're going to upstage you in Madison? Boy, bye. Why would you even say this? Maybe she's saying it because you guys have been unstable at best. You literally just got on the same page maybe a month ago because Tomas and Kat have had the worst relationship on this show, in my opinion. So it makes no sense for you to jump up and propose to this girl. Y'all don't even live together. Like, you wouldn't even move in with her. You pumped the brakes on that, saying y'all weren't ready. But now, because she almost went to go see Jesus, now y'all are ready for marriage? No, no, no. So then later, Naomi happens to be there, and Madison is there as well. She's meeting up with Chelsea. So Chelsea and Madison have been debating this. Like, Tomas is gone at this point. Chelsea and Madison have been debating because Madison surprisingly agrees with Tomas. She's like, oh my God, I think it's so romantic. And Chelsea's like, girl, no, it's not. So Madison is reminding Chelsea, like, that's basically what you did and how you proposed to me, and look how it turned out. And Chelsea, like, man, why are you bringing up old stuff? And it's not the same. Naomi also agrees that she does not think this is the best thing for Tomas and Kat because she also thinks that Kat is going to feel very pressured and that it's not going to go well. Whatever. So Tomas had to run out because he is meeting Bill at the gym or at the country club, and they're at the gym changing to do golf. So we see Bill and Tomas there. Andre happens to be there because remember earlier he said he was going to go to the gym. So he sees Bill and Tomas talking, and so he kind of inserts himself into this conversation. And then Tomas breaks the news that he is planning to propose to Kat. And Bill is like, well, why did you waste our time with all this other conversation beforehand? Andre's kind of surprised, and Tomas is asking them for proposal advice. And, Bill is just like, just make sure, what did he tell him? He's like, really don't look at me for advice. Just do what you think is best and make sure this is what you want and that you're serious. Because Bill is, he's not in the family no more, but he holds the Duprees down. I'll tell you that. Andre is like surprised by this and he wishes Tomas luck and he's hoping for a solid marriage just like he and Danny have. And Bill is over there smirking because he's like, little do you know, I had Danny the other day. And before Andre said that, Andre put Bill on notice yet again. He was like, I remember you coming to me saying that you were worried about Danny and that you wanted to talk to me about her, but you don't have to worry. I got her. Basically, mind your own business. When when this comes out about what Bill and Danny did, Andre is gonna look like a damn fool, and I feel bad for him. I feel like he and Danny are a good couple, but she still won Bill. Period. And she's proven that. So whatever. So that happened there. And then the last thing we saw, which was great. Leslie enters Kat's room and Kat is immediately on edge. She's like, what? I'm not scared of you. You can't hurt me. Okay. But Leslie is, I mean, she is there to express her gratitude to Kat, even though she is on her usual weirdo, intense energy to the point where Kat was like, yeah, you have a weird way of expressing gratitude. You could have just led with that instead of all of the passive aggressive, semi threatening vibe that she was on. So then, Leslie lightens the mood. She's just like, I can never repay you for what you did with what you did for Eva. I am indebted to you. And Kat jokingly says, like, well, one thing you could do is stop calling me kitty cat. And Leslie's like, but it's a term of endearment. But if you really don't like it, I will try my best. And like, seriously, Kat, I owe you. I always pay my debts, and I am indebted to you. And Kat is like, okay. I fully intend on collecting when the time is right. Now, I know this little mofo is talking about what Leslie did to that other girl. I forget her name. Laura, I think is her name. When Leslie ran Laura off the road. And there was all this back and forth with like evidence and all of this. So I think Kat is gonna try to get Leslie to come clean about what she did as retribution and to pay off the debt of Kat saving Eva's life. This is just my speculation. Let's see what happens. So, like I said, I did not do Drama While I Design for Thursday, June 25th, because life was lifing, but I did watch it. And one of the things I really remember was how irritated I was with Kat. Like, she's so two-faced in this episode to me. The day prior, she and Eva had a great conversation. Granted, she did say this doesn't mean that they are sisters, but I'm like, dag on, it wasn't even 24 hours after the fact before Kat was trash talking Eva again. I forget who she was talking to. Maybe, I think it was Chelsea, because I believe Chelsea was coming in there to kind of test the waters to see if Kat would be open to this impending proposal from Tomas. So while, Chelsea's trying to get this intel, Kat is just basically talking trash, like how I still can't stand Eva, we will never be sisters. I mean, we talked and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, girl, you didn't learn jack from that dream. And you could have kept all of that fake reconciliation if you really didn't mean it. Because to me, now you are two-faced. And I already don't like this character because she is a snob. She is Anastasia 2.0 in my opinion, and she gonna end up like Anastasia, alone, bitter, and miserable unless she changes her behavior. But yeah, Cat is back to being Cat. And I don't like it. Now Chelsea was testing the waters, like I said, just to see like how Cat feels about Tomas, and I forget how she worded it, but it seemed like if things did go in that direction, it seemed like Kat wouldn't be totally against it. And so Chelsea opted not to warn um Kat about this impending proposal. Now let me think about what else happened in this episode and if it was anything that really needed to be said. It just came to me. So we saw Danny forcefully enter Bill's office to basically shut down anything that Bill might be doing or what he may think about doing in regards of spilling the beans, in regards to spilling the beans about what they did in that elevator. Danny is pissed, okay? She's accusing Bill of like relishing in this thing. She thinks Bill is fully going to expose her because I forgot to mention that Vanessa suggested, like, well, you need to, if you're not going to talk to Andre about this, you need to make sure that Bill is keeping his mouth shut about things. So Danny was there to do just that. She is telling Bill no more innuendos, nothing Nothing like that because he can't. No. Okay? Bill is just, he's not taking this seriously. Okay? I think it's a combination of his ego and he just wants Danny. He is clearly done with Haley, in my opinion, because he does not care about the fallout or anything in that regard. And he thinks that Danny is lying to herself. He thinks that they should be together. And Danny is like, no. I'm not going to allow you to like turn me into a version of you in my marriage with Andre. She feels terrible about everything. She maintains that she has moved on. You know, this was just a fluke with Bill, and Bill is not here for it. So things get a little heated. I forget what Bill said, but Danny was about to slap him. And that is when Haley walks in. And Haley is, oh, this was also part of that episode. Sorry, I don't have my notes for this one. Bill was talking to Haley about fantasies. Oh, nasty. They so nasty. And so she showed up there in her little trench coat or whatever, just to play this little fantasy game. And so when she walked in, Danny clocked it. And she was like, she saw what Haley was doing. She was like, oh, Bill, you're still playing this little game, huh? Hmm. You'll never be better than me. And then Danny just walks out. So Haley's sitting there fuming because it became very apparent that Bill is just recycling his old fantasies with Danny and just having Haley act those out. So I feel like that was basically the major things that happened on Thursday, and we could get right into Friday. Friday, June 26th. So, as I stated, Haley walked in on Danny and Bill having a severe altercation to the point Danny was about to slap him. Now, Haley demands to know what she walked in on because Bill is lying. And Haley understands that he's lying. And she said, if you don't tell me the truth, I'm going to finish what Danny started with 5 fingers to the face. Okay. So Bill deflects and he's lying. He claims that he was not turned on with his conversation with Danny because apparently he likes this toxicity. I get it. Anyways, Haley is like, no, I don't want to hear this. And you used to look at me the way you were looking at Danny. Yeah, that was his real wife, you home wrecking hoe. Anyways, and she's just saying, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, referring to Bill. And she wants unique sexual experiences with Bill. And so they get on this, like, freak fest conversation. I want to hear all this. Haley is talking about having a fantasy about skydiving, and Bill flat out refuses. He's like, you gonna have to do that on your own now. That remember, this whole time she's in a trench coat, she don't have nothing on underneath, and she is using sex as a weapon. So when Bill's like, no, to the skydiving thing, she just mm, drops her coat, and he's like, well, it's a good thing I have my life insurance. I guess we are gonna go skydiving. Bill is such a simp, and I'm so tired of it. It's like it's really pathetic. And I need to see Bill overcome this gold digger. And I need to see that he has actual sense because I don't believe it at this point. But let's just move on. So Eva updates Isaiah about her breakthrough with Kat while he is there visiting. She said that Kat still does not consider her a sister, but I'm like, because I'm just like, that just didn't need to be said. But you know, she and Isaiah think that they're at least gonna face a little less drama from Kat. So then Leslie arrives to visit. She is claiming she is a changed woman after this liver transplant. But then she promptly announces that she plans on moving in with Kat as she has lost her spouse in this tornado. Now, Eva's vitals instantly start to spike. And Leslie's like, is it me? Am I the drama? Yes, girl, you are the drama. Isaiah is not having this now. Oh, I was like, yes, Isaiah, put your foot down. He was like, Leslie, that is not going to work. And Leslie was like, who the hell asked you? And he was like, nobody fight, please. Let's compromise, okay? Leslie, you can visit me on some designated days, but you moving in is not the move. I can't deal with you. And you can split caretaking duties with Isaiah. So Leslie eventually agrees to this because how are you going to? You have money. Buy a different house. At the very least, rent an Airbnb somewhere. Even don't want you cramping her style with her new boo. And you're annoying, Leslie. Like, come on. Touch grass. Anyways, she agrees to that. And I'm happy to hear it. Shanice comes in and to kick everybody out because it is time for Eva to begin physical therapy, which makes me remember something else that happened on Thursday. We saw Kyle and Nicole. He did a great job of helping her through everything, just talking to her and um just talking things through. And he is apparently going to be Eva's physical therapist. Over in the other room, we see this nightmare on wheels, Deanna, visiting Kat. I mean, I do like the fact that Kat is very good with the younger generation and she is very good at being a listening ear, specifically for Donnell and Deanna, as they have similarities in their journey. Now, Deanna is there and she is like, ooh, you are better than me, girl, because I could never give a piece of me to somebody I hate. And you know, this quickly turned into a conversation about Joey. Now, Kat is trying to advise Deanna to tread lightly as it pertains to Joey. You know, Kat's like, I'm not afraid of him, but my family keeps him at arm's length, and I'm sure there is a reason why. So just heed my warning. And Deanna's like, I'm not afraid of him because she just loves antagonizing. Like, Deanna works my nerve. Again, I'm not saying she is wrong in what she is saying. It is the approach that is cash crazy for me. If I was Vanessa, I would have been knocked her damn block off. I could not deal with her. But that is me. And I run a strict program in this house. Anyways, so Deanna's just talking about her disdain for Joey, how she's not afraid of him, and blah, blah, blah. And Kat is telling her, like, you know, you need to ease up a bit, if not for yourself, for your mother, because you don't want to look back on this tumultuous relationship one day and see that you spent more time arguing with your mother instead of being cordial and loving towards her. So Deanna thinks about that for a little bit and then they get interrupted because Kyle walks in because it's time for Kat to start her physical therapy. Now Kyle is like, Lord, please stop talking, Kat. Because the second he walks in there, investigator Kat is on it. She want to know what's going on with her mama. How are you doing? Did you talk to your sons about my mama? Yes, I did. Blah, blah, blah. Kyle tells her that they are taking it one day at a time and he likes Nicole. She's an incredible woman. And he would like to introduce her to his sons one day. And that shuts Kat up for a little bit. And he was thankful for her because she would not stop. So glad to see that Kat likes Kyle. I like Kyle for Nicole as well because I feel like Carlton has been absolute trash during this entire ordeal. He had more care for Ted in the situation than for Nicole. We never saw him check in on Nicole. We never saw him visit. None of that. Kyle did all of those things. So Kyle is the winner for me. Moving on. Joey and Vanessa are at Uptown just having some time together, and Joey wants to whisk Vanessa away on a trip. Now, Vanessa is a little hesitant at first, but she comes around and she suggests a low key boutique inn in Napa Valley. And Joey's like, okay, let's gas up the PJ. And I'm like, yes, where's my man to take me away on a PJ one day? Anyway, so they're having this conversation, and we see someone looking in from the outside, and it is Deanna. She is looking on, crying. Then, touched by an angel, Doug shows up again. Now, I don't know if he is a ghost or if Deanna is losing what is left of her mind. So, she and Doug have a conversation, and Doug tells Deanna that she is playing the wrong game. And I agree with this. He's explaining that Joey is Vanessa's judgment free, safe space, and that is why Vanessa keeps running to him. So Doug advises Deanna to stop fighting Joey and outplay him instead. So he tells Deanna to pull her mother closer so she will turn to the family rather than Joey. So this finally clicks in this girl's head. And Dead Doug is right, because you can always catch more flies with honey than salt. So then Deanna walks up in there, and Joey's like, oh, okay, well, that's my cue to leave. And Deanna was like, oh, no, sit down, brother. I want to talk. Joey's like, oh. He looked at her like, unhand me, you cretin, but he sat down. And Deanna, it was like, boom, 180-degree switch. I was like, I know Vanessa's not going to fall for this. And I know Joey's not. But Deanna's just like, oh, what are you guys talking about? Oh, you want to plan a trip? Let me help you find some places and this and that. And they like, is this the same Deanna? And Deanna basically says that, if Joey makes you happy, mom, I'm not going to stand in your way anymore. And that is all Dingbat Vanessa needed to hear, because she jumped up so quick and hugged Deanna. And was just like, oh, I'm so happy to hear this. Da, 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 da. And now Joey is looking on, because Joey ain't dumb like Vanessa, because this is just too good to be true. But, I saw the wheels turning in Joey's head while Deanna's over here hugging her mother and just like, gotcha. No, let's see how this turns out. We also saw a very nice moment at the Richardson household. I don't know what Smitty's last name is, or I forget it, but I'm talking about Martin, Smitty, Tyrell, and Samantha. So Samantha was gathering all of the latest accolades that the family has collected, like her platinum debutante crown, the fact that Tyrell is graduating, Martin winning the campaign, and Smitty and his successful article about the impaler. So she was putting everything out because she wanted to make some content about it and just shout her family out. So this prompts Martin and Smitty to cancel all of their business plans for the evening and spend some quality time with their children, because Tyrell is about to graduate, Samantha's going to enter her senior year and she's going to have a busy summer, and Martin with the campaign and Smitty with his work. So then the husbands are like, oh, talking to themselves that they should do something nice for the kids. So they asked the kids, like, oh, where do you want to go? And they said some outlandish thing. And so Martin and Smitty were like, oh, never mind. So then the Richardsons are having like a nice little family night, but Samantha starts to complain because Martin and Smitty are still in their phones. Okay. So then she calls them out on it and they put it down. But then eventually Martin and Smitty give these really nice speeches about how proud they are of Samantha and Tyrell. It was I love the family moments because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. And I feel like that is something that Beyond the Gates does very well. They do a good job of highlighting the sense of community that my culture has, and it's very important to us. And I just love to see it. So Martin and Smitty are just giving their kudos to their children, and they surprise them with an announcement that they are gonna go to the Bahamas immediately following graduation. So then Samantha and Tyrell surmise that, oh, that's who you guys were. You guys were texting each other, planning this while we were sitting here, and they were like, yes, we are. And of course, Tyrell with his little hot in the pants self. Oh, can Jessica come? Now that would have never happened with my mama and my daddy, but new age parenting, whatever. They already know he's screwing around anyway. So they were like, yeah, as long as her parents say okay. You know damn well Jessica's parents are not going to be okay with this because they were pissed at that cotillion. But whatever, let's see what happens. All in all, it was a lovely scene. I love to see those family moments. Oh, they also touched on how, it's been uh a difficult journey with them being a gay couple and them being parents and how they've overcome that. So I love all of the lessons. I love the different perspectives that you get, and I love to see the family unity and the family dynamic. So that was great. So we go back to the hospital. Isaiah meets up with Ted in the hallway because he had offered to get like Leslie coffee just to get her out of the way once Shanice interrupted them and Kyle had to do the physical therapy. Oh no, Shanice was doing the physical therapy for Eva and Kyle was doing the physical therapy for Cat. So Isaiah and Ted meet up in the hallway, and Isaiah starts telling Ted that he has something important to talk to Ted about. And Leslie is over here eavesdropping. And so she only hears that part of the conversation because Nicole sees Leslie eavesdropping and she walks up on her and she's like, oh, so much for you changing your personality. And Leslie's like, oh, huh. But so then they go off and they have this separate conversation. And Leslie tells Nicole that Isaiah is going to propose to Eva and he is asking Ted for her hand. And so Nicole's like, oh, okay. So then after that, Nicole goes over to Ted, who is at the nurse's desk, and she congratulates him on the news about the proposal. And Ted is like, how do you know about Tomas proposing to Cat? And Nicole was like, what? She like, ain't nobody told me nothing. And Ted clarifies. He's like, so like, no, I know about Tomas and Kat possibly getting engaged because Tomas just asked me a couple of minutes ago for her hand. I forgot to say that too, y'all. He did ask Ted for uh Eva, no, Tomas asked Ted for Kat's hand in marriage on Thursday, and Ted did not have a chance to even talk to Nicole about it yet. So that he was clarifying what happened. Then and Nicole was like, "Oh, okay," because Leslie came over and told me that Isaiah was asking you to marry Eva, and he was like, "No, no, no." That was about basically Leslie wanting to move in with Eva and Isaiah shutting that down. So, they are catching up and getting chummy, and Shanice is over there looking on. So then also while this is going on, like I said, Kyle is Kat's physical therapist and Shanice is Eva's physical therapist. So they both end up doing their therapy at the same time. And Kat and Eva literally and slowly bump into each other with their walkers as they are doing therapy. So then they're making like laps around this nurse's desk with everyone looking on Leslie and Isaiah and Ted and Nicole and the family start telling Kat and Eva what to do, and Kat and Eva are like, enough, hush. So then we see them making the laugh, like I said, and then we see Kat and Eva competing, doing laps with these walker. It's like y'all with these walkers. Y'all are moving like tortoises as it is, but y'all are still competing. So oh my God. Kyle and Shanice are like, slow down. Shanice is telling Eva, slow down. And Eva's like, I can't help it. Kat just brings out my competitive side. So when she says that, Shanice is looking at Nicole and Ted, interacting. And Shanice is like, I know what you mean. Oh, Shanice, I thought we were over this. I thought we were over this. Maybe you were just over it with the Leslie and Ted dynamic, but you clearly are not over it with the Nicole and Ted dynamic. So let's see what happens there because she's back to her insecurities. The last thing that I'm going to talk about for Friday was Nicole and Ted's reaction to Tomas wanting to propose. They are not here for it, and I agree. They are like, they fully think that Tomas is just proposing because he was afraid after almost losing her, and Ted and Nicole do not think that is the right reason to propose. Now, while they don't agree with Tomas wanting to propose, Ted and Nicole do agree that they will allow Kat to make her final decision. Just like the donor situation, she ultimately came around and made the right decision. And so Ted and Nicole are going to trust their very grown daughter to yet again make the right decision. But they are secretly, not secretly, they are hoping that she says no. And I agree. So then, yeah, that was basically it for all that happened on Friday. And we wrapped up the week. So cool, cool, cool. So then the preview for the week of July 6th, because they gave us an entire week of no Beyond the Gates last week. And although I was sad, I was a little relieved because I also recapped The Bold and the Beautiful. So I had a little break, so to speak. But we are coming back in hot tomorrow, July 6th. And so let me try to remember what I saw in the preview. Oh my gosh. We saw. Oh my gosh, I'm having a moment. Let me think. Okay, so boom, we see that Kat has gotten released from the hospital and she is being greeted by the entire Dupree family at Anita and Vernon's estate. We see Joey asking Randy if Deanna would recognize him or whatever because he has a job for Randy, and that job is Deanna. Because, like I said, Joey is not Boo Boo the Fool. He knows that this girl is up to something, and so he is putting Randy on the case. And I actually agree with it because Joey hasn't come this far without being smart. Then we see Haley telling Mike that he has to be crazy if he thinks he's going to win this case. And Mike says, oh, I know I'm going to win the case. So then we see the mediation with Madison and her case starting in Bill's office. Then we see this one telling Naomi that no one would fault her if she stepped out on Jacob. Now, why? I mean, we know how you get down, Danny. Sorry, you my girl and all, but I guess I can understand why you're giving this advice. Cause whatever. So then Naomi starts to say that she has been lying to Jacob for months. So clearly she's about to reveal this BRCA gene diagnosis, or they are just teasing us and she won't yet again. But I think she totally should, and she should have a long time ago because I think this is going to cause more issues with her and Jacob, especially coming off of this whole Impaler Derek's death spiral thing that Jacob has been doing. Dr. McCormick is there. She is the acting chief of staff since Leah blew everything up with her malfeasance. And we see Dr. McCormick telling Leslie that the partnership between Garland Memorial and the Phoenix Street Free Clinic is over. And Leslie's like, excuse me? Girl, you couldn't have thought that it was going to continue after all of the illegal activities that happened, but go off. And then the last scene of the preview is Tomas popping the question to Kat. I am Team Ted and Nicole and Chelsea and Naomi. This is a horrible idea, but let's see what happened. So, that is the long and short of what happened during the week of June, what, 22nd? Yes, and I am ready to get back into Fairmont Crest tomorrow on July 6th. What do you think is going to happen with some of these storylines? And what do you think the twists will be? Until then, y'all, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Have a great week. I will see you the next time.